Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
Oui. I am Darig. No, they were in Rome. They weren't even in
It's
France.
Italy, Derek.
Italy. Yeah,
It's
Rome.
Italian. It is a Giallo. It is Dario Argento.
Well, I got that wrong.
Au revoir. This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek doesn't know locations. It's fine. It's fine. You caught yourself, Derek. Good work.
Hey, you know what? I knew it wasn't in the United States.
That's true. Good point. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm just gonna go with I'm okay.
That's fine. That's a good one. I'm doing pretty well because tonight, as Derek alluded to, we are going to talk about Dario Argento's 1982 classic, Tenebrae. But before, guys, we get into the Giallo-ness, this is our first Giallo picture as well. So that's a big step. And it's our first Argento film as well. First of many, probably. Because we have to get through some Suspiria. We have to get through some... there's a lot that we've got to do. Phenomena. There's a lot. But first, before we get into some Argento, let's hit up the horror news. And guys, let's start with some sad news. I hate to be the one to break this to us, but I got to. It's my job. So, Mike Flanagan's Exorcist will not be hitting theaters in March of 2026 like originally predicted.
Really?
Yes, he said in a response to a fan on Tumblr, there's no way it's going to meet that date. He says, production hasn't started. We need to finish Carrie first. No way it's coming out next March. Nothing to worry about, though, he says. So the movie's still happening. We're still going to get Mike Flanagan's take on The Exorcist. However, it's just going to be a little bit longer. What do you guys think?
Well, I guess I can deal with that. I thought something tragic happened and it wasn't going to get made now. So
Yeah, I thought that's where you were going too. I mean, as long as they get it right, I don't care when it comes out.
Correct. Sometimes good things take time, right?
Yeah.
So, that's fine. I mean,
It's like
he has
Taco
a
Bell,
bunch.
man. You gotta eat it, and then it takes time before
It doesn't take time. It works almost instantaneously.
it evacuates.
Instantaneously, almost.
It's the best
Yeah.
colon cleanser I know of.
It is the old TB. All right, but you know what? Let's make it up with some more Mike Flanagan news, because he's also doing Carrie and the Clayface movie, right? And he was talking about that Clayface movie, and said it is heavily inspired by, because he's writing it, but he said that it was heavily inspired by the episode, the Clayface animated series episode, which is fantastic. He said the short answer is Feet of Clay absolutely inspired my script. That's the world I wanted to live in. So, do you remember that episode, Derek?
Of the which specific one is it?
The Feet of Clay episode, his origin story, Clayface's origin.
Oh yeah. I remember that one.
Great episode.
Well,
So
this is a side note, but Clark asked me the other day if we could watch. It was more like a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, not yet, buddy. But when it's time, we are going to watch them, because that is like one of the best cartoon series ever made. Anyway, we can keep going.
It's a great one. Connor is currently watching the TMNT 1987 series, the original TMNTs, and he is all about it, guys. He loves it.
I saw that, I think, on your Snapchat.
The intro especially. Like when it first kicks in and we get the intro song, that intro ends, he looks over at me and goes, "More?" And so I have to rewind it. And he has to watch we did it like 3 times. I was like, okay, now we're watching the episode. But he's all about it.
Nice.
And then, let's see. And finally, for this last bit of horror news here, Danny Boyle has confirmed that Cillian Murphy will appear in the second of the trilogy. 28 days later, The Bone Temple. So, do you remember when it was announced that he was returning and that there was going to be a trilogy? And then there was all of this stuff. And, there was the rumors that the one dude was Jim and all this stuff. So now we know that, no, Cillian Murphy is coming back for the second one and the third one, supposedly. So, there you go. We have Jim returning in 28 days. Are you guys excited for these new 28 Days Later sequels?
I really am. Like, just hearing you say, like, Jim is coming back, I'm just like, yes. Yes.
What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, it's kind of like not a 28 Days movie later with, you know what I mean, without him. So I'm glad that he is rejoining, if not in the first, at least in the second installment of the trilogy.
We do have to do the sequel 28 Weeks Later, which is a banger of a film as well. Has Robbie Carlyle as like one of the most piece of shit guys of all time. That character. Good. I saw some discourse on Twitter not too long ago where somebody was sticking up, for that character. They're like, "Are you sticking up for that guy? He's a piece of shit." And I was like, concur. Concur. All right, guys. That wraps up the horror news for this week. Oh, wait. Actually, I lied. There is one more bit, which is NECA is releasing some new action figures. And
is that a scrotum face again?
No, Lydia brought this one to my attention. So we will show it. But, so they are, NECA's releasing a new Wednesday doll featuring Jenna Ortega. And Derek, Lydia and I both seen this. You have not seen this yet, but here it is. You ready? What do you think? A perfect likeness, right?
You know who it kind of looks like?
Who?
It kind of looks like, without the long hair, it kind of looks like the actor who played Gomez in the...
Oh. Lydia nailed who it looks like, and now you're not going to see it. So look at this bottom left one. Lydia, who does that look like to you?
It looks like Eminem. Like something about the structure
I see it.
of the
I
face.
see it.
That's
I can see it. I still think it.
Yeah.
I still think it. Okay, now it does look like Eminem.
Yeah, right there. That's spot on Eminem.
There's something, I think, like, the sculpt is almost there, but there's just something off about it, and it's like, she's a little bit too masculine, I think.
Yeah, I think what's wrong with it.
Well, I love how we both chose male people as that's hilarious.
Yeah. So that is hilarious.
Wild.
She sent me that this morning, and I cracked up. I said, "Who the fuck is that?" All right, that wraps up this week's horror news. Guys, picture it. It's 1982. Slasher booms happened. Halloween's come out. The Friday sequels are coming out. In the middle of this, there is also a subgenre that was coined in the early 70s called Giallo. These murder mysteries. And in the midst of all these slasher movies and these Italian kind of horror fests, we have Dario Argento's Tenebrae. So, have either of you seen this movie before?
Nope, can't even pronounce it.
Tenebrae. Have either of you heard of this movie before?
That's a Tenebrae.
Wow.
Yes, I've
Wow.
heard of this movie.
Okay, good. So where'd you hear from it?
I listen to a lot of other horror podcasts, and it gets brought up occasionally on there. Specifically, I think I heard on with Gorley and Rust. I think I heard them talking about this movie, or other Giallo movies, possibly.
Yeah. So this is my, I think, third time watching Tenebrae. First time I watched it was on Shudder. Actually, I think the first two times I watched it was on Shudder. But I was just searching for a horror movie to watch, and one that I hadn't seen yet, and I came across, I was like, oh, it's an Argento flick. I haven't seen this one. And I'm looking at it, kind of reading the synopsis, and I was like, oh, this one has a legacy. This one's really popular. Let's see what's going on here. So I put it in and watched it, and enjoyed it enough to watch it a second time, and then enjoyed it enough to pick it for this time. And this watch through, it just really hit. I mean, this movie hits, and I'll explain why it hits so hard, and the things that I super enjoy about this film, because it's a great example of a Giallo film. The plot is very straightforward yet complicated at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We have a twist that's kind of not a twist, but then it's definitely a twist because of the way the events unfold. And we have a protagonist that is also, spoiler alert, an antagonist, but didn't start off as the antagonist. So it's kind of interesting because we technically kind of have a final girl, but it's not like she's not our lead. We're not following her through the whole film. The movie's not through her point of view. The movie is through the point of view of Peter Neal, right? So where do you guys want to start with this thing? Derek, do you want to start at the beginning?
I mean, you can start wherever you want.
Okay. So here's the deal. The opening of this movie, I think, is rad, right? It just kind of sets the tone for what we're getting into. We have the person reading the Peter Neal book, Tenebrae, and doing creepy stuff. We see this classic black glove Giallo. That's a Giallo staple right there. The black glove killer, because that way it hides the identity. We don't know if it's male, female, Caucasian, African American. We don't know anything about the killer's ethnicity. We know nothing. Just that it's a black glove killer. And we get the soundtrack, because, guys, the soundtrack to this movie rips. And this opening song is awesome. What do you guys think? The fireplace, all this stuff. What do you think of this opening?
Yeah, I agree. I love hearing the music. I love seeing, like, the apartments and the, all the places that they go. Like, it's just really like a time capsule, which I always love and enjoy seeing, like, how people decorated back then and stuff.
Yeah, I love that too, the way it looks. So let's start off with that. Let's talk about that before we dug into this plot, is the cinematography on this movie. In the set design, in the production design. Because, guys, this movie is stunning. It's stunningly beautiful. Like, every frame of this movie I would hang up in my house on the wall. Just the lighting, the composition, right? The colors, the way that the set design pops the colors, the primary color, because that's another Giallo trope, but the way the primary colors, especially the reds and the greens, pop off the screen. I was watching this movie last night by myself on my 75-inch 4K television, and popping out loud. I'm like, this is fucking gorgeous. I'm like, oh my God, what talented people are making this thing. I literally sent out, I think, a snap of a shot of the movie. I was like, look at this. I just had to share it with somebody. I needed to tell somebody how I felt. I couldn't put it on social media because I didn't want to spoil this episode of how I felt about it too early. And I didn't want to tell you guys because we were going to talk about it. But I'm just like, this thing looks gorgeous. What do you guys think? Am I crazy, or is this thing beautiful?
I would say that I definitely see where you're coming from for like the colors and the cinematography. I think was really well done. I mean, the acting
Yeah,
was also well done as well. I quite enjoyed the acting. So yeah, I see where you're coming from.
yeah. I love just it's the compositions too. It's not just the colors, but the way that he frames a shot. There's a shot early or at one point in the movie. I think it might be actually fairly. Oh, it is fairly early in the movie. It's which is the scene we're going to talk about, when the kleptomaniac girl, right, the shoplifting woman,
Hmm.
when she comes home, the way that Argento decides to have us enter this scene is we're up in the corner, and we're wide up in the corner, catty corner, and she walks into the room, and we kind of are locked off, and we stay there with her, and then we kind of pan with her as she leaves. It's just like cool framing like that he does throughout this whole thing. And I'm like, this thing, man, they were fucking cooking on some sauce when they made this one. They were like, we're not doing over master, guys. We're doing the good shit. So I just appreciated that as like as the art form of filmmaking. It's just stunning, I think. So we get our first. What do you guys think of this first kill scene with the shoplifting woman?
I've got a couple things to mention here. Her getting out of the shoplifting was wild,
Yeah,
just wild.
Italy,
Hey,
baby.
I'll give you my phone number or my address. You can come over. And also, like Peter, whenever he gets the phone call, like over the intercom, who leaves their luggage like that? Who does that? Nobody. Nobody does that. Anyway, but yeah, her getting out of that, and then for trying to steal that. Well, it was the book, right? Was she trying to steal the book?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was trying to steal Tenebrae. Yeah.
Yeah. Just it was crazy. The whole scene. But
Yeah.
then
So she gets accosted by like
oh, that old dude, yeah.
yeah, like some weird
The
creepy
beggar
old dude,
or
the beggar or
yeah.
what have you. Yeah. And he's just like, you're like, what the fuck?
That was pretty scary.
Yeah,
I did
it
not
is
like
creepy.
that.
You're like, and then the fact that he just keeps showing up, like, she gets, so she gets in the house and she goes into the bathroom. It's another one of those just things I love. We stay out on the outside. She goes into the room and changes into just the shirt and walks out. Just I love the way that they executed that. And then she hears the noises and stuff, and then she gets spooked by the old guy, the freaking creepy guy in the window. He's like, blah, blah, blah. And then she gets freaking razor bladed by the killer. What do you guys think of this opening kill?
So here's the thing. Desensitized. Like, I am sure that this thing like felt different. Um, Whenever this came out. When did it come out? 1982.
82.
It's really hard for me sometimes to like think about like what people had seen at that time to just give a good comparison to you know how everything kind of played out. But yeah, I'm sure that it probably was pretty graphic.
Yeah, so they kind of hold their stuff, I think, more to the chest. I think the kills
Mm-hmm.
escalate as the movie goes on. They get more
Oh
and
yeah,
more violent.
especially
And more
when
and more. They get more and more graphic.
Good.
But as of right now, it's quite subdued. It's just the razor slashes. But I think the suspense in the scene is great. She backs into him, and then it's just a shock that he's there, and he kills her. Let's talk about our characters, because our main character is Peter Neal. He is a writer. He wrote the book that the movie is based off of. He's played by Anthony Francozia. What do you guys think of him as a character and the actor?
He's an interesting one. He's like definitely like the character. I mean, the actor. I think he did a fantastic job. As a character, he's pretty interesting because he's coming off so nice. He's just like such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, we need to we need to save this guy and get him out of Italy. Like, what is he still doing here? Something's going on, So it's kind of interesting, like, to see him develop in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I like Peter as a character, as a kind of way in, because he's like, he's the American, obviously, he's fish out of water.
Yeah.
So he kind of brings a Western audience into it. But yeah, he's an interesting character because he has, he has layers that we end up getting to see. The actor does a great job, right?
Oh yeah, he does a really good job.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And then obviously the actor that we recognize the most is who?
John.
Oh,
John Saxon.
Yes.
Yep.
As his agent. He's fucking hilarious in this movie, by the way.
He is really great in this movie. I enjoyed him a lot in this. I definitely not his first time, not his first time on this podcast.
No. Here's the thing about John Saxon. Is he's always great. He's never not good.
Yeah.
It's like impossible for him to put in a bad performance, man. Because he's just so charismatic, right? He's just so like,
he's a natural.
Natural, yeah. He just has a screen presence that you just gravitate to. Even when he's playing like a Weasley worm in this movie, like he's kind of like the kind of used car salesman, huckster of a sales agent, trying to wring as much money as he can out of his client. And also, by the way, spoiler alert, banging his client's wife.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. But yeah, I think he's great. And then
that alone just says so much about all of these characters. Like, this is a complex movie.
It is. It's like I said, it's complex, and it's so I've got to talk about the. So we have Anne, who is who's kind of our final girl, de facto final girl. She is kind of like an assistant to him throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And so she's in a lot of the scenes, and she's kind of like I said, the de facto final girl. And but I also want to talk about the two the police officers, the detectives, because the main detective, Captain Germani, is fucking awesome. I love this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His partner is really tough too.
She's tough. She's good too. Yeah, she's good. I like him. His personality is so cool because he's so funny and like just kind of laid back. They're so funny. I like how when they show up to Peter's house the first time to kind of talk, tell him about the murders. Anne asks him if he well, you probably don't drink on duty, and he says, "Ma'am, I only drink when I'm on duty." And runs down this whole thing, and he's like, "Great bourbon," or whatever. It's like fucking great. So that's the setup. Is what's really interesting is because you would never suspect Peter to end up having the heel turn he has, because your mind is not on him being the killer, because the killings happened before he arrived. Right? Did you guys peg the twist that comes up?
No. I could not figure this movie out, honestly.
I
thought his assistant was the killer for the longest time.
It did give you kind of a run of like who it is, and by the time you get to like the end, like the last scene, you're like, okay, it has to be this way,
yeah,
because of like where we led. But yeah, kind of. It was a little bit of a like, misdirection and
they misdirect
things
you
like that.
Yeah, because there's two killers in this movie, two killers.
Yeah,
and which is very interesting. So, let's talk about these kills. So, in some of the scene, because we're about to talk about my favorite scene in the movie, guys. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie. So, which is when we have the two girls that are roommates, right? And maybe
they're a little more than roommates.
Maybe more. And yeah, so they're at the bar. The one is like a reporter who was grilling Peter pretty hard earlier. And so she's mad because her partner hooked up with somebody else. And then she's like, "Are you going to come up with me?" And she's like, "Fuck you," or whatever. And as she's just standing there with her like in her sheet with her boobs
Toga?
out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just like the most stunning woman you've ever seen in your life, and you're just like,
I
how did they
mean,
get work done on this thing? But like, this is my favorite scene in the movie because it has the one of my all-time favorite fucking sequences, which is we go outside, the music kicks on because her partner starts playing it upstairs, and we get the fucking kick-ass theme of this movie, dun, 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 dun. And we in an uncut broken shot, we go outside of the house, all the way up it, over the roof, in through the window to see her playing the record, and then down and around to see the killer cutting open the blinds. Guys, what do you think of this?
it was a really
I was
cool shot.
I was so taken back. Like when you picked this movie, I did not expect this. Like I genuinely did not expect this movie at all. Like I kind of had an idea of what was going to happen, but like the music for one, I never would have expected that kind of music to be playing. I guess I thought this movie was more of a like older 70s movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the music is like definitely 80s, and that shot was so unexpected. I was like, this is insane. Like this is crazy. So I really liked it.
Yeah, great stuff, right, Derek?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that shot was it was really unique. It was pretty awesome. Then to come in through that window, like it played really well.
Yeah, and it like it just did a great build the suspense, right? Built the suspense in this So, guys, this shot is the one when I watched it the first time that made me fall in love with this movie. This shot happened because I was watching the movie and I was like, this is pretty good. It's fine so far. I was like, it looks really good, but and then this shot happened with the music and all of it, and I was just like, this is cinema. Like, I was like, I like this. So no matter what happens the back half of this movie, at least we have this because this fucking rips. And then it's not done because after we get this excellent kill scene where he slices her through
Her shirt.
her shirt. Yeah, and we see that great shot, slices her neck, she falls down, which is the cover of the film. And then he kills her partner with the razor blade. After, I mean, this is a great scene, right?
Yeah, it's really intense.
Agreed.
Yeah, really intense. And when she hears her scream from getting killed by that just perfect. Oh man, I love the shot sequence of that. I was like, the kill itself, how she slices her, then through the shirt. It's just like so cool. Excuse me. That I was like, okay, this movie's not playing around. This movie's fucking ready to rip ass. And then,
man, I wish I had to fart just then. That would have been perfect.
Well, yeah, surprisingly, you didn't. That's a rarity. But so following this, we get some scenes that are actually very important because he meets this news. He goes and meets like a news anchor, and he meets with this news guy, and the news guy's talking to him about some kind of deep shit, and it's important because Peter pegs it. He pegs it literally right then, or pretty close to then, like that this guy's the killer. And
he did.
I mean, it definitely leads
him
to that conclusion.
Yes. He's like, interesting. And then when they're in the apartment putting it together, he was like, yeah, this is the guy. So that's an important scene because we also get the detective and him having all their scenes together are great. But let's talk about this chase scene with the neighbor, because there's a younger neighbor.
Yeah.
Who is like the plumber or what have you, and she is being chased, or her and her boyfriend get into a fight. She's on like his moped or motorcycle or what have you. And she tells him basically to go fuck off after he leaves. And then she's walking, and there's this dog. And she just can't let this dog, like, she just antagonizes this dog, man. Until it's ready to say, fuck you, I'm hopping this fence. We get this elongated chase scene with this dog. What do you guys think of this chase scene with the dog?
It definitely has a point,
Mhm.
but it is a little long. And man, I'm with you. I would not be fucking messing with that dog. You might kick the fence once, but then you walk away.
Yeah,
Sit
I
there
wouldn't
and
even
like
do that.
piss
I
it
just
off
would
to
have
the
been
point where it was like, yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, that's not me. I wouldn't do that, but she did. She
yeah.
did.
Yeah, what do
And
you
then
think
they
of this
went through
chase,
the fucking
Lydia?
neighborhood.
Yeah, I was surprised at how long the scene was, but it was suspenseful and it was good because I was like, I felt her exhaustion for her. I was like, oh
And
my
it's
gosh.
scary being chased by like an animal, and that dog's big.
Yeah, big
My
Doberman.
only critique of this scene, of the chase scene, is that you 100% could tell that dog was such a good boy.
Yes, he
You
is
could
such a good boy.
100%. Every time it cut to the dog and it's supposed to be menacing, he's like,
They like add in some barking.
yes, they
That's
add in
like
some
a
barking.
different kind of barking than
then
the dog was actually doing.
And then also, like, when she's being attacked, the dog's clearly just like kind of playing with her. But
Yeah.
that I was like, what a cute dog.
That's so
that's
fun.
that's the dog lover in me. But
Me
no,
too.
it's good because it forces her. She runs into the basement of the actual killer,
Mhm.
because she ends up in this area, and she starts to see all this stuff, and we find out that it is, the basement of the killer. And we have seen this room many times of him doing stuff, but she found it and she realizes that this is the killer that's been, terrorizing the city. So she grabs some of it and then starts to run away. She gets chased by the actual killer, which results in her death. What do you guys think of her death? It's a pretty good one, I think.
Yeah.
It's axed, right?
Yep. Right in the,
Yep,
right in the stomach.
in the backyard.
Times.
She gets into
Yep.
the backyard, which is like, because she's kind of stuck, really, because you got
Yep.
the dog kind of traps her in there, and then you're like, oh no, like he's gonna get her, like he's
Yep.
definitely gonna get her. I wanted so bad for her to get away and tell everybody.
Yep. And instead, she gets
tried.
the axe. Yep, she gets the axe.
Yep, she sure did.
So yeah, I think that's a good one.
It
And
was
then
great.
here's where some of the other shenanigans start to happen, because Peter puts together who the killer is. He says he thinks he knows who it is, which is the reporter, right? But
Which I still like didn't understand. At that point.
It was the way that he phrased, because he phrased his, like, in the interview, and the way he phrased like a synopsis of the book, like it's a perversion of this. It's actually, kind of a little off topic, but the Unabomber. I mean, the entire reason he got identified was because of the way that he referred to Christmas or something like that. They put it in the paper, and his brother recognized like that phrase because that's how his brother talked or said that specific thing. Anyway, it was a little like minute thing, but
yeah. So here's
it
what
made sense.
They go to the house to watch it because they think that the killer they're there under the guise of catching the killer, because he thinks that the killer's. He tells basically his young ward, what's that character's name?
I want to say like Jimmy or something.
It's not Jimmy. He's Italian, I think.
That's why I was like, it's kind of a weird one.
Neil and his Italian is Gianni. Derek is your favorite name, Gianni.
Jimmy.
Is
it really?
It's Gianni. His name's Gianni. Yeah. Yeah. It really is Gianni.
Say, what are the odds?
Well, hi, it's an Italian name.
Maybe I just was hearing Jimmy the whole time.
Yeah, because it's Gianni. Yeah. So they goes there under the guise of trying to catch the killer, because he thinks that he's going after people that are, know Neil's work, right? Know Peter Neil's work and stuff. So they go to watch his stuff, and he tells Gianni, "Hey, go over there and watch from that angle, and then try to see if you can see anything." And he's over there with like the files and stuff of the killing, and then all of a sudden the lights come on, and he turns around and he starts saying stuff. He says, like, you don't hear what he says at that first time. He says something, and then he just gets axed like right in the fucking head. It's a really good one, right? Boom. Yeah. And then he just falls down dead. So poor Gianni's like witnesses this whole thing. He
looks
goes
him in the eye.
Yep.
So creepy.
And then he goes to get Peter, who's laying on the ground because he's been knocked out by a rock. And so I will admit, my first time watching this, that's when I got a little suspicious. Like, well, that's convenient that he just knocked him out. But I was like, but also maybe he's wanting to do like a whole villains, like I'm obsessed with you kind of thing. And I was like, there's got to be two killers or something because they killed before he got there. So they think the killer's still at large. So they don't know they caught the killer, that the killer is dead. And we don't find out as an audience for a little bit longer either, because we have to go through, a whole deal. We have to go through 3 more kills that ends up happening. Well,
there are so many kills in this movie.
Plus the rest. So, because there's actually more that happen at the very end. But so throughout the movie, we're getting this thing. I should mention it here that pays off at the end. But we keep seeing this this scene where
Jane.
Where this young girl is humiliating this man, and she's stepping on him with high heels. Like he slaps her, so she sicks all these other guys on him, and they kind of beat the shit out of him, and she shoves the red heel down his throat and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we get a bit where us as the point of view of this character that kills her with a knife, and we always cut back to this red, and we always cut back to this eye. We don't know who this character is. We know it's the killer, but we don't know who it is. So Jane, his wife, has been spotted in Italy, and he's like, "What is she doing here?" And then we find out that her and John Saxon's character are bumping the uglies, are doing the horizontal mamba, are playing co-ed twister.
They're washing windows.
Never heard that one, Derek.
Right?
Never heard that. That sounds like an actual thing that you do, which is just washing windows. So we find out that they're having, that they're having an affair essentially, and
yeah, he's in the room, and like he leaves his like what is that guy to him? Like he's like his
agent. It's his agent.
His agent. He leaves the agent's room, and the girl is just in the the closet the whole time or something. And I was like, she was right there.
Yep.
That killed me. She just like steps out of the little room, and I was like,
yeah. And then because he's like, hold my calls, and then just like blah, 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 blah. They start like making out. Really?
You ever notice in the movies, like, people make out really weird?
Well, in the older movies, they definitely did. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Real messy.
Yeah. It's the Kevin Costner Robin Hood Prince of Thieves thing. You know what I'm talking about? Which, by the way, is a fucking banger movie. If you haven't seen it, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves rules. I still stand by it. I know it's cheesy, but it fucking slaps, I think. But so yeah, that whole bit happens. The affair, and so then some weird shit starts happening. Jane has a package of high heels, red high heels, just like we've been seeing, delivered to her. Mm-hmm. And then all Balmer and her are supposed to meet to leave because Peter has left. Supposedly, he went on the last time we see him. He's leaving for the airport with Gianni, and then we see the airplane taking off. And on my first watch, I was like, why didn't we see him on the airplane? Something's going on here. Because that's just how my mind works. But anyway, so he's supposedly gone. It would have eased us if we would have, in a normal movie, we would have seen him arriving home. You know what I mean? Or arriving at a location. We didn't see it for a reason. But Bulmer gets stabbed to death in this square on a super suspenseful scene, I think, because we take our time with this scene, and I think it's really cool. He's talking with the kid. He's the kid's throwing the ball back and forth. We get this really great shot, the way it's framed of him, looking down with the camera. Just fucking shots in this thing, and it just builds to us being the point of view of the killer and walking up to him and stabbing him to death. What do you guys think of his death in that scene?
Yeah, I think it's super intense. I do. I really like that scene a lot. I think it's like so unique.
Yeah, because middle of the day.
Yeah, that's
a crowded fountain. Yeah,
it's super super unique, and I really enjoyed it.
What'd you think, Derek?
I liked the setup, but like, how did nobody in that super crowded place see anything that could like lead to anything? That part's, but it was very misdirecting, and you're expecting something to happen. You don't know quite what, and the fact that it's in a place like that probably will lead you to believe that it's not going to happen that way.
Yeah,
and it does.
And what's great about it is I love, because we kind of go on this oneer, right, as the point of view of the killer, where he's at the bar, he gets the drink, and then we kind of walk out. That shit's awesome. And then we see the high heels walk up, and we reveal it's Jane, and then it's just great stuff, great direction. And so Gianni's like, hey, he tells Peter before he leaves, I'm going to go back to the house because I feel like I can find something. If I go there, I can find something and maybe figure out who the killer was. So he goes, and when he's looking in, that's when he realizes that the other guy was saying, I killed her. I killed them all. I killed them all.
Yeah. He was like, I remember, I know that there was a detail, I just can't remember what it was, because he was so traumatized.
Yeah.
He was so traumatized, he was driving, and he was, like, driving through all the stoplights.
Oh, yeah, almost
causing crashes.
Yep.
And he's just like, I'm gonna walk from here, I'll meet you there.
Yeah, he 100% does. I'm gonna walk. Yeah.
Why doesn't he just drive? Let him finish
he doesn't
driving.
Have his license. He doesn't have his license, so he doesn't drive in the whole movie.
It's insane.
He walks or gets driven. So, yeah, it is insane. But Gianni's death is good, right?
Yeah,
it's one of those
really bad.
You kind of know that he's in the back seat, but the way it's executed is really good. And it's sad because he turns around and sees who it is and is like just shocked at seeing who he thought was this friend of his.
Yeah.
That's strangling him to death.
So
it's pretty
sad.
intense.
When he is going, I remember specifically like when he's going up to the house, like he's like sneaking back up to the house, climb the fence or whatever. And I just looked over at Jake and I was like, you know what I would do if I were him? And he was like, what? And I was like, the exact opposite of what he is doing right now.
I would have called the police. Had said, hey, by the way, we witnessed this murder, and I think that was the killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe you can walk. Maybe you can escort me up there and see what's going on. But
maybe don't go anywhere near that place.
Yeah. So
by yourself.
So that happened. He's dead. But then he goes up and grabs an axe from that he had hidden, and that's going to be our fucking murder weapon. Because guys, this next kill is the best. Derek, I know you. Yeah, I know you love this because I love this. The freaking the extreme amount of blood. So we've had blood obviously, but it's, like I said, they've been keeping it kind of to the chest, and then when this happens, they let the bloodletting starts. Because we get that whole suspenseful scene, the way it's shot with her in the silhouette or her profile. She checks it out, doesn't see anything. We go back, and then the way it happens is out of nowhere. Just that axe crashes through that window and freaking that arm goes bye-bye and the blood spews everywhere all over that wall. What do you guys think of this bit?
It was pretty. So she was waiting with a gun, right? Because she was
Yes.
going to shoot the other girl.
Yes, because she thought the other girl was the one that did it, Anne, who she called to have her come over.
Yeah. And so she's waiting with a gun, and then no, you're right. Like he cuts the arm off, and it's just like, whoa, this took it up a notch.
I loved it. I really loved
Yeah.
that.
The way that blood sprays all over the wall.
Yeah.
I kind of knew, like, when she was by the window, I was like, oh no, but I did not expect the arm to get lopped off. I loved that.
Yeah, it's so good.
That was
and then that's when, it's definitely hype. That's when we get the reveal. Because before that, there's also another shot I want to talk about in this movie where they, at the police station, they kind of this is where they get the information to find out that Peter is the killer, basically. Kind of gives them the hint. But the way we frame this woman, his partner walks this woman into like an interrogation room that's off onto like left screen, right? And it's framed in thirds, and they're like in this third. The scene that's the important part of the scene is playing out in this small third. The rest of it's just this open of the office, and then she walks out with him, and we pan with them over into this third. I was just like, fucking composition masters, this is brilliant. Oh my god, this stuff is just beautiful. So I'm talking about paintings. But
what did you think of the scene with the two typewriters? Because that kind of stood out to me, and I don't know if that was.
I thought there was going to be more to it.
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was like some kind of
meaning.
Symbolism or like just the idea of like, oh,
I think there was that there's two killers.
Two killers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why.
There's two stories being tied, yeah.
Yep. So
Lydia, good call.
It
Birdie,
stood out.
Yeah.
It did to me, and I didn't really put it together until just, yeah.
Yeah. Birdie was doing the killings because he was obsessed with the books.
Mm-hmm.
And was deranged. So we find out at this point that our killer that the killer of these two people, or these three people, because Gianni as well, was Peter, And so he's hiding, we see him with the axe and everything, which is a big reveal. We're like, oh my God. Then they hear somebody coming in, and he thinks it's the police, which it is. So he really kind of doesn't know who it is, but he hides. And when she opens the door, he freaking puts that axe right in her shoulder. Blah! And she drops dead. And he thinks that it's Anne. He thinks he just killed Anne. And he's fucking devastated by it.
Yeah.
So he goes over there, Anne. And then our detective comes in, points the gun at him. Then Anne comes in and sees him, and he's all coward. He's like, oh. And she starts, oh my God. And we get this standoff. And he's acting like a total psychopath. And he said, detective tells us how he figured it out. And then he says, I knew who the killer was early. And once I knew that and I got him out of the way, I knew that I could end his reign of terror. But I could use him to get rid of these two, because he knew they were having an affair. The reason that the detective knows is because that rose, or the red shoe story that we kept seeing, was actually Peter in his youth. He was essentially accused of murdering a woman, but there was no proof and there's no charges brought up. So it kind of fit, like, oh, okay. So there's more to this than, especially with the recent killings. So I
did not see that coming.
Yeah, the red shoe guy was him?
Yeah, I really did not.
Did you see that, Derek?
Mm-hmm. Especially after he told us about it.
Well, yeah, of course, after he told us about it.
But before that?
Yeah.
I don't know that I really thought about it that hard. Obviously it had to do something with the movie because they were showing scenes of it. But
good point.
Who that person was, it could have been. I'm trying to think back if there were flashbacks.
They lead you to believe that that it's the actual killer.
Yeah.
But it's
But
actually
I think there
Peter.
were flashbacks afterwards, right?
There was, yeah.
Like after
Yep.
he died.
Yep, after
I
he
was
died.
still thinking, honestly, I think at this point I was still thinking it was like his assistant somehow. Or I'm not exactly sure because I was like thinking that maybe she was having an affair with the woman and they were using the
Ah.
agent. Like, I thought it was like going to be, I don't know. I guess. Because she was being kind of suspicious. Like, at one point she was like, she kind of blurts out that she thinks that his wife is the one who destroyed his luggage.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the way she said that was really suspicious to me, so I was just like thinking it was her like, having something
Yeah,
to do with
and
it.
they kiss. They do share a kiss at one point.
Right, yeah. Everybody's kissing all the time in this.
So it's wild because he pulls out a straight razor and slits his own throat.
Yeah.
And like the way it's shot, and if that was the actual ending, that would have been disturbing as fuck for those two people. Because he looks directly at Anne and goes, "Ah!" as he does it. Can you imagine seeing that? You know what I mean?
No, I don't want to see any of this.
Yeah. So he doesn't check his pulse, which is a rookie mistake. But I mean, I guess he did just watch him slit his throat open with a straight razor. So he's like, let's get you out of here.
Yeah.
But he decides to go back. He's like, I don't know why he decides to go back in. But he goes back in, and he's gone. And he realizes that it was a fake razor, and that it was fake blood in it. And then he raises up. We get this great shot of him. And he bends down, and we see Peter behind him, perfectly concealed.
Yeah. Almost perfectly concealed.
Yeah, almost perfectly concealed. And then he axes him. And, so he falls over dead. But during their struggle, he knocks over this big ornament, which, guys, the first time I saw this movie,
yeah,
and I saw that big thing with the points on it, I was like, somebody's going to fucking die by that, right?
Yeah,
somebody has to be killed with that.
That thing stood out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I was like, somebody has to be killed by that thing. So it falls over.
Or a bad art piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of sprinkle those through the movie, so you're
they
like,
do.
well,
There's
maybe.
A couple of them. Because we also do one where we get this shot of like this really sharp looking thing that never comes back, but it's just there to kind of lead us to believe.
Weird 80s sculptures everywhere.
So Anne goes to hit her with the axe, but that thing's blocking the door, so when she pushes it over, that art piece impales him, and dude, it impales him because there's blood everywhere, bloodletting. Fucking a great finale, right?
Yeah.
Just he struggles for so long, and just blood everywhere, and he's struggling to be alive, and then he finally dies, and she just screams. We go out on her, just like terrified, like what the fuck just happened? What do you guys think of this ending?
I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. I like that. I mean, it was maybe a little cheesy with the statue thing, but other than that, I thought it was really good.
What do you think, Derek?
The goriness was pretty great, and like you're just like, holy cow! Like this guy was the killer.
That's what I'm saying. The goriness made up, like just. I mean, is it silly that there's a statue thing that falls on him? Yeah, but it's also kind of fitting that he, kind of causes his own death and that he just dies horribly brutally. Because as silly and cheesy as that could be, the death itself is pretty fucking rough.
Yeah, it's like it probably would have been cheesy if this whole movie wasn't so complex and like it seems so purposeful that is what happened,
So why was he going after Anne? Why was he trying to kill her at that point?
Because she knows that he's the killer.
Yeah, she's a witness.
So there was only people that knew that he was the killer.
And he's crazy.
I mean, yeah, he's crazy. He killed people, I guess, because he was trying to
cover his tracks because he faked his death, so that way he could cover his tracks. So yeah. Yeah, that's why he was going after Anne. What do you think of this ending, Derek?
Good. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it's a banger of an ending.
Yeah, I do.
We definitely had a lot going on.
Yeah, we get the blood flood. We get 2 axings. We get a fucking statue impaling our killer and bleeds everywhere. I think it's a banger of an ending. And then we kick that bomb ass soundtrack, and then we're out. And that is Tenebrae. So, what do you guys think of this one?
What do you think, Derek?
So I'm gonna give you all day long that this movie was it was well shot. It had some really great scenes, super creative. Like I agree with you, the colors popped. It had its peaks and valleys. There's a pun there, and there were good acting for the most part. I thought everybody did a great job. The critique I have with this was I think it tried to be too complex. It also had a lot of. It was too long. It was like 2 hours long, an hour and 41 minutes. There were some scenes that drug on a little bit, but I personally was not a fan of the twist. I feel like it was too loop-de-loop, if that makes sense. I'm going to give this movie a 6.5.
All right, Lydia?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, I don't know what to give this one, but I really like it. That just scared me to death. Oh my gosh. I think Jake just opened
Your
the
dog
bedroom
just
door.
scared you?
I just heard the door creaking and I just about broke my neck turning around so fast.
Yeah, I know you turned around super fast.
I had a kink in my neck and I just about broke it. Okay, so this movie. Honestly, I think having a second watch of it would do such a world of favors for this movie because I was genuinely very confused. I really had to be spoon-fed the ending of this movie. I was like, wait, what? But I think that made it really cool because I couldn't predict it, and sometimes that just ruins it anyways. But yeah, I don't know. I really like it. I forgot how many killings there are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There are so many killings in this movie. It's good. I like it. I'm gonna give it. I think I'm gonna give it a 8.
That's what I'm talking about, Lydia.
I think
this movie.
I think it's very
6.5 is way too low.
Yeah, I think so because I think this movie is
Perfect
probably super influential and it's just so unique and
yeah. Let's
respect that.
Let's put it into perspective. So, like I said, each term, this is my third time watching this movie. My first time, I liked it. I was like, this is a really good movie. I wouldn't mind owning this one. The second time I watched it, I was like, I need to buy this movie. I think it's really good. I'm a fan of this film. Tenebrae rules. This is my favorite of the Argentos, I think. And then last night, my third watch, this movie flat out knocked me out. I was like, this movie is amazing. This is an amazing film. It's like a 9 for me, 8.5 to 9, because it is amazing. If you compare the look and the cinematography of this movie to the one we watched last week, where we couldn't see a thing and it was murky, because we watched The Wolfman, and you compare that to this one, there's no comparison. One is art. This is art.
Yeah.
This is art. It's everything about it's art. The music, the costumes, the set design, the story, while maybe a little messy, is, I think, pretty fun, right? Because it's a great twist. I think it's a good twist. The execution may be a little funky because they were trying to wrap things up pretty quickly, but I think it's a banger. This movie, if it's ever on, I'll watch it, and I'm gonna buy it. It just came out in 4K, so that's a purchase I'm making. This movie on 4K, come on, you kidding me? It's gonna look even more gorgeous.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the most beautiful, stunning movies I've ever seen in my life. Check it out. Check it out. Tell us what you guys think. And that is Tenebrae, our first Giallo, first of many. We'll have to hit some more Giallos up. So Derek, it's your turn to pick. What are we watching next week? So Derek, it's your turn to pick. What are we going to watch this week?
I thought about this. I think we're gonna watch House on Haunted Hill from 1999.
Ah, yes, yes. The not the classic that Lydia was hoping to watch.
Ah, dang it, that's my favorite one.
Yes. Well, your picks next, the following week. So who knows? Maybe we can do a back to back of haunted hills and houses that they rest on. So next week, House on Haunted Hill. Where's that? Is that on Tubi, Derek?
Yep, you can watch it on Tubi. You can watch it on Plex.
All right, there you go. House on Haunted Hill, 1999. Jeffrey Rush. That's going to be a solid one. So, we'll check that out. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your viewership. Let us know down below what you guys think of this film in particular, and what other movies you want us to do, because we're super fans of this one. I am. Lydia likes it too. Lydia and I are super fans of this one. Derek thinks it's mid, but he also likes Lumberjack Man. So just saying. But yeah, next week, House on a Haunted Hill. We're not watching Ghost Ship, but we might watch that another time. So until next week for before all that, stop off at Facebook, leave us a like and a comment there. Like and subscribe to this channel. Comment, tell us your thoughts. Go check us out on IMDb. Do all the good stuff. So until next week, for Lydia, Judy, and Derek Lemaster, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.